in those moments, words doesn't matter anymore. So only your presence will matter.
What I hear a lot when I'm talking with moms is, I feel alone. A room full of people and they feel alone.
I felt bad for my son. Maybe that's me because my water bag broke. How do I forgive myself for this experience?
When we attach so much for we kind of picture perfect situation, it's more easy to kind of get a trauma or be disappointed because we think that it's supposed to be like that.
Welcome to InMotherWords, where we say the quiet parts of motherhood out loud. Today we're joined by Sulin, who is the founder of Papaya Wellness, a birth doula and a mother of 2 daughters, to talk about what happens when birth doesn't go to plan. Sulin, when you say you're holding space for someone emotionally, what does that mean for you?
It means very different for everyone. It's totally different. For some moms will be you being you present in the corner, living be just holding a space for her. For some moms will be more active, like checking in, see how she's feeling, kind of bringing clarity of what it feels normal or not during birth.
Well, I'll be honest, I have never heard of a birth doula at that before I've even given birth. And also, when I came to Singapore, I think I had a mom ask me, "Did you get a birth doula?" And I'm like, "A birth doula? What's that?" What is something that you do, Sulin, that you feel that many people don't realize, but a lot of mothers need?
I think bringing clarity to what birth is all about and also giving options to the mothers about the different things that they can ask for in the birth and what is that are important.
Can you share a time when you feel like a mother has gone through an unexpected emotional moment and you showed up and it made all the difference for her?
I think probably will be my first birth. That it was amazing, to be honest. It
Your
was
first birth.
my first birth,
Okay.
my first client that I have. I remember she was very active, and then we were in the shower. That is one of the techniques we use during birth. And then she really feel this kind of urge to push. And then she was squatting there, and she say, "Your baby's coming." And then we all like, okay, what we do? Okay. And then the nurses called the doctor, and I was next to her. Yeah, I just remember that it was just kind of very
Can I
institute.
rewind back? Are you in the hospital when this happens?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
But I remember after the birth, she told me, I don't know what happened, Sulim, but when you told me I need to stand, my body just say, I can do it. So I think these kind of expected situations where moms doesn't realize how powerful they are, and then they can reflect on you on that sense.
On that note, let's talk about what happens when the birth doesn't go according to plan. Like, if you have an emergency C-sec or you have a sudden traumatic experience or like even loss.
Yeah, that is very hard. Working with moms, I always prenatally we discuss all these things because I think it's
Everything, you bring it up.
I think
That
it's
must be
important.
so hard to talk about.
I think it's just important, that say, as far you want to plan for this, and we working with your body, with your emotions, with all the layers, all the tools that we can use during pregnancy to actually encourage the body to go that direction. We also need to know that pregnancy and birth is something that we cannot really control. And then we just need to make a space to things to unfold and also make a space to things to go a little bit different so we can adjust as it goes.
But how do you hold emotional space for the mother? How does this happen? Like, what goes through your mind? What does she need in the moment?
I think, in these moments, it's not time to actually thinking of, making a plan. I think it's just very intuitive kind of approach too,
Okay.
because obviously it's based also in knowledge, but
Yes.
it's also in experience working with different moms and different environments and different
So, what
situations.
are some of your approaches then?
I think it's just listen to the mom, listen for what, acknowledge the feelings. If you need to be loud, be loud. If you need to move, just move. You just remind them that it's not wrong or right on that space, that she is allowed to be wherever she wants.
For me, my baby came early. So my water bag broke at 31 weeks. I was hospitalized for 2 weeks, bedridden, and I felt like I was only ready to navigate that trauma 4 or 5 years later. Like now, my son is 5.5, and I've been doing inner work and working through this experience. But this stays with me when we are talking about what's going through your mind and what does she need at the moment. I feel like we have no time to process, as you're right. And even if we try to speak, we have no words to say. We don't even know what we need during the time. Like,
But sometimes it's no need to words. It's just sometimes it's just presence.
yes.
And sometimes it's acknowledge that what you're going through is hard and that is so unsettled. When you are there, everything is happening. You don't know for sure what is the next step, how it will look like, and which moment you go to actually have your baby and your arms and everything will be fine. And either in that space, how it will progress, how
Yeah.
you will be strong enough
I
for
feel like
that.
in those moments, words doesn't matter anymore. So only your presence will matter. Someone who would allow you to fall apart and hold that space for you to fall apart, basically.
Exactly.
And then I don't know when you come back together, but hopefully eventually you'll come back together.
Because I think women in general, we are so kind of socially of the way we grow up, of all the norms, we keep things together. We supposed to keep things together.
Yeah.
And then sometimes for moms, it's very difficult to just, cry or say, I'm scared. I not feel comfortable with this. Put yourself first. And it's supposed to have a space for women to put their own emotions first too.
Not every birth goes smoothly.
No, not
Actually,
everywhere.
most birth will have some sort of something, like especially if it ties back to someone's expectations.
Yes, but that is it also. You bring in a some very, very important word, expectations. When
Mm.
we attach so much for we kind of picture perfect situation,
Mm.
I feel that when we do that, it's more easy to kind of get on trauma or be disappointed.
Distressed.
Yeah, because we think that it's supposed to be like that.
Mm.
All the time it's a matter of surrounding, allowing the body to be and know that things can change and it's not something like a rule. A lot of the things in pregnancy and birth and postpartum, or either on the first years of baby growing development, are guidelines. There are no rules. It is not something that can be applied to everyone. My name is Sulin, and I'm birth and postpartum doula. So after the birth of my first daughter, out of that experience, I can see how powerful and empowering birth can be. Then I want to share that with the moms around me. Doesn't matter if birth doesn't go as planned, it's always a potential to have a positive birth experience.
So, what would be a healthy expectation? Speaking of expectations, what is something healthy or a framework that you feel like is good for the mom to take into their birthing journey?
That's something that will be very positive is to every moms to tell themselves, I trust my body.
I trust my body, but I'm only learning to trust my body now, like later, when I finally have time to process all of this and learning, of course, from people like yourself, Sulin, where, you absolutely trust your body. You shared with me previously that you went through water birth and gave birth by yourself. Oh my gosh.
But every woman gives birth by themselves. Either if the doctor is in the room, the nurse is in the room, the partner is in the room, everyone in the room, but women, we all of them give birth in
That's
themselves.
an
It's
interesting
true.
perspective because I wouldn't have accepted this even now. Like, I gave birth myself. I would have said I gave birth with the help of doctors and nurses and the hospital and the medical system and the supplements or the vitamins. And
You moving the power from you. You are very powerful. Every single mom is just powerful. I have one question. Who grow this human inside of you?
yeah, my body.
So why you not trusting your body to do all the other parts?
But remember, for me, I mean, this brings us to the next part, right? I feel like a lot of us carry that guilt and shame because I carried this guilt of having my water bag broke so much earlier than it was supposed to. I didn't get to experience the third trimester. And I felt bad for my son. He had to fight for his life in that moment.
Yeah.
It's because he had to really rely on his instincts to survive. So now when I see him being impulsive, I'm like, maybe that's me because my water bag broke, you know? So when I tie this back to trusting in my body, then it becomes like, how do I forgive myself for this experience? How do I relinquish this responsibility, the
Yeah.
guilt and the shame? Like, what can I do to heal? Like, some of those are lingering questions.
Do you think that is something that you can do differently, that you can control in the situation?
No.
So you did the best you can for what you have in that situation. It actually is what we all do in different perspectives, you know. We just work out whatever situation presents. We try to navigate it with all the tools we have. And the more tools we have, the better we can adjust to it. I believe that it's not such a thing of perfect bear.
Mm,
It's just how we can take something positive from
yes.
the experience.
For mothers who feel like they are still making sense of
Yeah.
all that has unfolded for them during their birth
Yeah.
moment, what would you say are some tools we can use to help us to heal and to help us to reclaim our birth story?
For some moms can be talking, finding a therapist, someone that listening ear that will kind of allow them to unfold. Some moms will be need maybe more knowledge to understand why one thing bring to another and kind of see the full picture of what these things go this way, you know, what cesarean was necessary on that moment or not really. So they
Mm.
can actually kind of see more clearly of the situation. And I think they are a lot of times they just need validation, you know, validation in the emotions and know that actually they do the best with the tools and the knowledge they were in that moment. I think it's more about that, you know.
I feel that there is this whole emotional aspect to
Yeah.
labor and delivery is very much overlooked in our current medical system and hospitals. Like, if I had a birth doula in when I was giving birth, perhaps I would have been more attuned to my emotional side. But why do you think there is this neglect currently across our medical systems?
I believe that you know doctors they cover the scope of practice. They are mainly to be sure that everything is going within the normal range, preventing things to happen, and that is the role. So sometimes I believe that what is missing is kind of the tailored kind of service, and then probably I would love to see more like doctors working with other professionals to kind of cover the other parts, you know, like nutrition, like afterbirth, you know, the
Mm.
postpartum period, all the emotions, all the healing process of the body, you know. So how we can be as like a team.
And that reminds me as well, because I have a cousin that's a doctor,
Yeah.
and he told me that he's not allowed to operate on his family members, which then gives me the insight that they have to remove themselves emotionally from the situation because they need to think logically and medically about what's happening from a medical perspective, right?
Yeah.
Which then means that they physically cannot bring in those emotions.
It is like asking them to be all therapists. So
So then it brings to light that we need emotional support from someone else. So, Sulin, if I'm going to be pregnant and preparing for my next birth, what should I do differently?
I think we can discuss about what the things that you know want for your birth, because either me when I was pregnant, it was very difficult to think what kind of birth I want. But I think if I ask you what you know want for your birth, you will can tell me. If from there, then we can work of what tools can we bring in to get you closer to that
So, do you mean like breathing techniques
breathing
or
technique. It can be
being attuned to the body and the mind? And do you practice some of these?
yes, can be the body, but also, you know, finding a care provider that is very supportive, that give you a lot of space for options.
Birth is often talked about in outcomes, like what's the delivery outcome? Is it a healthy baby? Was it a smooth delivery? And, but what we touched upon today reminds us about how important the emotional side of your birth story really is. It matters just as much, if not more. So, lastly, Sulin, if there was a mom struggling to talk about their birth story, maybe it's still raw, maybe it's still confusing, what would you say to help her feel safe and supported?
But I just can say, that is not a need to talk if you're not feeling like doing it now.
Mm.
That sometimes takes time. It maybe comes in some point. I think it's just a matter of know that you have people around you that see you, respect you, and can be holding a space for you and when that moment comes.
I mean, after, you have so much experience now helping moms, you've seen the moms give birth one after the other, right? So, what's something you wish they could hear, especially when things don't go in according to plan?
I think that they did the best they can. That this
Mm.
is not such a thing that they can really control.
And what about for the husband? If you could say something to the husband or to the mother who's, mother-in-law or the siblings or the relatives, like, is there something that you would like to leave with them as well?
I think we see that a lot. I think something that important to say to everyone is to be mindful of the words we use when we are around mothers.
The words that we use.
Yes. So because sometimes it feels like nice, gentle words, but there are not.
So tell us some. What are some of these non-gentle words?
This what come very often, like you don't have enough meal, just give it the formula. Why you struggling yourself to do that? They already questioning themselves. So what is helpful that? Or for example, if you carry too much the baby, they will be spoiled, kind of, like it's too much. It's no such thing, it's too much. What we should be saying instead, probably I'm here if you need me. You are doing, or you're doing an amazing job. Of you need to listen or what it feels correct for you. It's not because your friend breastfeed or because your friend give the bottle or because your friend do this or your mom or your sister. What is correct for you? It can be different.
And to ask what they need.
What they need exactly.
Do we know what we need in that moment? Basically, not. We don't think about ourselves in that moment.
Yeah,
We only think about the baby and making sure the baby is okay.
but sometimes it's just asking, how you doing today, Stephanie? How you feeling today? Is there anything that I can do for you?
Thank you so much for sharing, Sulin. I think that really resonates with me because if I have had all these words when I was going through my own birth journey, I feel like perhaps I would have navigated this a little bit better. Made me also feel less alone. I think that was a key thing that I took away. And I'm still learning to give myself grace. I know many listeners would also be still learning to allow ourselves grace, like what has happened, and we will carry some of that, yes, but to carry then less, to learn to let go and to learn to accept.
Or to reframe it another way, see the power within on the situation, it's always possible. Perfect situation doesn't really exist. Sometimes some people say, oh, but you were lucky because this thing happened like this. But sometimes it's not really about luck. A lot of people work a lot to get there, but either the person that work a lot to get there can have a different result. You know what I mean? Because very unpredictable. I think it's something that we really need to be mindful. We cannot predict that. I think it's the more difficult thing to accept for everyone is we want to control it. We want to say, okay, if I eat this, I do this, I do this, I will have this result. Probably, yes, you have very good potential to have that, but it's not a guarantee. And how within all this, you make a space to something different.
It's funny you say that because that gives an insight into how you raise the baby as well. Because it's the same thing, right? It's not like when you have this, and this,
Yeah.
you will have this, and this type of child. Like there's no such thing.
Or you have a first baby, you do this, it works perfectly smooth, and then you have the second one and it turns tone like
This is not a maths equation,
is it
guys.
because we are humans and we are so individual, and moms when they come into pregnancy going to birth, they also come with all the past within, and sometimes either things that we don't know we have show up in their labor rooms. It's just either the mom itself is surprised of what is coming through in that moments. It just make a space for all these things, because we bear with our mind, with our bodies, obviously, but it's very emotional. We create this secret space for us, either in the medical space. We can, but then with knowledge, how we create that cocoon for that mom,
Cocoon for the mom.
for the partner, because also the partners, we talking about the mom, but the partners also, it's not easy space to be there. A lot of them feel very vulnerable because they would love to carry some of the weight.
Yes.
And they feel like, what I do,
But they cannot.
they cannot. So it is vulnerable space. I feel that having a third person that support both sides
And is objective.
and is emotionally supporting but is not emotionally attached to the person, allow them, both of them, to get some breathing space. What I hear a lot when I talking with moms talking about the birth stories in hospitals, in any situation, is I feel alone. A room full of people and they feel alone.
Yeah.
So my work is to every mom to be supported and feel it like they are being listened, seen, and respected.
Thank you so much for sharing, Sulin, for sharing your heart and your wisdom. And to all the moms listening right now, if you are feeling you are carrying this and sitting with parts of your birth story, I just want to say that your experience is valid, your feelings are valid. You don't have to carry it alone. I hope you take what you need from this episode, and I'll see you next time in another episode of In Mother Words.